Welcome to Pera's Playbook. This is your host, Alex Pera. Let's open up our playbook and see who our guest is. Please enjoy. Welcome to episode 129 of Pera's Playbook. Today I'm joined by Dominique Hall. He runs Division I track and field for the University of Cincinnati. How's it going tonight?
It's going good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. I just got done with doing like the most intense JV basketball game. I was officiating and it was way
Huh.
too intense for JV basketball. It was the fans were crazy. It was a hack fest. It was just a little too
Sounds like
much.
sounds like a fun time.
Oh yeah, definitely was. So I'm glad to be done with that and on to this. Um, so why don't we start and talk a little bit about your recruiting? At what point, like I guess in your track career, did you kind of realize that you could, do something with it and go on and run in college? And at what point did you like realize you wanted to?
I feel like those questions, like I like those questions, but I'm gonna answer the first one because I feel like once I started doing track, it was always to the point where like, wow, like I like the sport and I definitely want to do it at the next level. It's like the question was like more, will I be good enough to do it at the next level? So I kind of figured out like I would be good enough more towards like 10th grade, 11th grade years when colleges started to reach out to me, and I was like, wow, I can actually do this. So ever since I started track in 7th grade, I was like, wow, I think like this is my favorite sport I've ever done because I always grew up playing football, basketball, soccer, basically any sport I could play. And then I ran track in 7th grade, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I wanted to do it at the next level, and then 10th, 11th grade is when I really figured out like, wow, I can do this at the next level. So yeah.
So when you like started getting contacted by schools, was it a lot right away? Was it slow? I mean, like how did your kind of like how many schools you were talking to, how did that progress over time?
I feel like as a track athlete, it's kind of hard to get recruited. Like if you're not like best of the best, like running basically times that will send you to nationals right away, it's going to be hard to talk to schools. So it was definitely slow at first. Like I still had some D1 schools looking at me, but like it was just like you have a lot of colleges from in your state look at you for sure, and then it'll just be like you have to send yourself out there and like kind of like basically promote yourself in a way. So yeah.
When did Cincinnati enter the picture?
I think it was my 11th grade year. The coach reached out to me because my event, the decathlon, is such a weird event in high school, especially like it's not offered in a lot of states. So if you see like a really good kid that can run the decathlon in the states, I would say it's more of a rare thing and it's not as common, but and it's starting to get bigger and bigger. But I feel like when I was in high school, it was just there wasn't a lot of decathletes in high school, so you had to go overseas a lot more. So I'd say my 11th grade years when they reached out and started talking to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say we didn't have decathlon in Michigan here.
Mm.
Kids weren't, and in Michigan's kind of weird because we have like the Upper Peninsula does their own track
Yeah,
championships, and then Downstate has like a separate. Like Downstate, I think they do triple jump, and there's no triple jump in the UP, so there's like some differences there. But I don't think there's a decathlon Downstate either. Um, so that was something, yeah, I kind of always wondered where they got the recruiting from. It makes sense recruiting a lot overseas for
yeah.
some of those events. So when did you decide like Cincinnati was the place?
So recruiting was my year was like COVID year and like or everything was going on. So I didn't get like any visits or anything. I don't know. I kind of talking to all the coaches. There was a bunch of Zoom meetings and just a bunch of phone calls and everything. And out of all the schools I was talking to, Cincinnati seemed like the most genuine and the place that I really wanted to be. So
Yeah.
I picked probably towards my beginning of senior years when I decided like I think Cincinnati is the place for me.
Yeah, COVID, I mean, talking to like all the athletes that I've talked to, I mean, just so tough that you like can't go on campus visits. You can't, like you said, Zoom calls. I mean, it's a hard enough decision to like pick where you want to go to school and where you want to do your sport. and then you like throw all that other stuff in there, just makes it much more stressful as a young high school kid trying to figure things out.
Sure. Was it definitely wasn't fun at all. So, but hey,
Yeah,
ended up in the right place, so can't complain.
yeah. So let's dive into the decathlon a little bit. I mean, I think one thing that's interesting about track, and I talk about track like that, it's a super underrated sport, right? Like you look at ESPN every week, and people are talking about football, and they're talking about hockey and basketball and baseball, and in college they talk about softball too, and that's kind of about it. Not a lot of other sports get the main screen time, and like right now for people who follow football, you got the Heisman race, and they talk about like Travis Hunter, right? He's such a great all-around athlete. He can play both sides of the ball and all this. When you look at track, you look at decathlon athletes, right? Like it's the same thing. You have to be an all-around athlete. You're sprinting, you're
Yeah,
doing distance, you're throwing, you're doing it all. It's so impressive, and nobody talks about it. Like nobody talks about great. If you walked up to a random guy in the street and said, "Name somebody who runs the decathlon in the Olympics," they'd have no clue. You know what I mean? But if you
yeah,
said, "Name a quarterback in the NFL," everyone would know 20 of them. It's crazy that you have to be able to do all this stuff. You really don't get that much recognition or spotlight across the
yeah.
track world.
Mhm. Yeah, I just feel like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, especially like even in high school, middle school, like when I first started, I'm like, yeah, track's like not the biggest publicized sport, but I mean, I just do it for fun and enjoyment. Like, yeah, it sucks that we don't get the publicity like football, baseball, basketball, all that stuff does. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a Division I sport, and I mean, I'm still out there enjoying what I do, loving what I do. So, hey, I mean, props to the football and basketball guys. I mean, they definitely bring in the money and like, hey, I love watching football, so I can't hate on them too much. But hey, track do it for fun, so can't really,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's what really counts, right? Like, I mean, if you have a passion for what you do, I mean, it's nice to get a little extra publicity, a little, articles written about you and people talking about you. But I mean, at the end of the day, right, you play for the love of the game or whatever your
yeah,
sport is. I mean, I think that's like the D3 motto is like play for the love of the game because you're not
yeah.
getting athletic scholarships and stuff, so and that translates to all sports.
Yeah, but I feel like there's also as much as publicity, people look at it and like, oh wow, I wish I had it. It's also a double-edged sword in a sense. Like you're just in the spotlight. Like everything you do, anything you do, like you do it good, you do it bad, like they're gonna be on you about it. Like even if you have a really good game, people are gonna nitpick and do things about it. So I mean, just as much it is a blessing, it's also a curse. So I mean, I find it a good and a bad things at times. So I mean, take it as it is. So, yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're totally right. Like anytime any of these guys says something, people will take it out of context. If they eat a greasy hamburger, they're gonna be like, "Oh, look at what they're eating. That's not healthy for a D1 at." Like, I mean, your whole life, in a sense, especially once you get like NFL, NBA. I mean, like those guys, their entire lives, there's no privacy, right? Like everybody knows
yeah,
what you've got going on. So that is, I didn't think of that initially, but that is kind of a nice thing. You get to play a high level, do a D1 sport, but you get to kind of do it in the back, like nobody's shoving, everything down your throat and watching you nonstop and reporting your every move, and you can just focus on your sport and try to get
sure,
better.
yeah. It's nice. So yeah, definitely has its ups and its downs, pros and cons. So yeah.
So training, like how do you break that down when you've got so many different events? I mean, do you like look at it and you're like, okay, I know I need to work on these more, so I'm gonna train these more, or do you try to do a little bit of everything? I mean, how do you break that up?
So yeah, I mean, you made some good points because there's definitely things that each decathlete has their strengths and their weaknesses, but I mean, it's all a balancing act. Just because you have your strengths, you don't want to focus on that because then your weaknesses are going to take you down like too low, and you don't want to focus too much on your weaknesses because then your strengths won't be your strengths anymore. So you just have to find a good balance between everything. And a week for us, like we'll basically hit every event throughout the week, and it'll just be like one day we'll long jump, pole vault, and then the next day will be like a high jump and maybe a distance workout or a sprint workout or something like that. So just it's a balancing act for sure. And maybe if you do need a little help in those weaker events, just take a little extra time, maybe a couple extra hours or so to work on that event and try and sharpen it and make it an asset and something that instead of something that you're trying to just get through. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's also crazy for me to think about, right? Like you just said, we'll spend a day working on this and a day working on this. But like if you're a sprinter, that's what you work on every day. Or if you're a
Yeah,
distance runner, like that's all you're working on. When you only get to work on it for little bits of time and you're still
yeah,
expected to excel at it.
for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a fun thing to experience. But I feel like I think just talking to sprinters and pole vaulters and working out with them, it's always nice to have like different events to go to instead of being stuck like maybe pole vaulting the whole time or high jumping the whole time. Like if it's getting frustrated or you're like kind of maybe stalling out or just hitting the same, like you always have another event to work on it. Eventually it will all come around. So it's just like you're not focused too much on one event, which I think is really a good thing because like when you do focus on too much one event, you can hit like a stalling point or frustration. You always have another event to work on. So I think that
Yeah.
helps. It's a good mindset to have as a decathlete.
Yeah, no, that is a nice mindset. It's a good way to look at it. Do you have a favorite event? Like, is there one that you just like more than the others?
Probably the 400. I don't
Yeah,
know why. I
really?
enjoy running. So
Yeah, I feel like everyone always talks about that being like one of the most brutal races in track.
it's definitely a brutal race, but I mean, you just gotta attack it and have fun with it. And I feel like it's a love hate relationship because after every 400, I'm probably on the ground throwing up. But it's just a great feeling to walk across that line and get ready for the second day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So NCAA's, I mean, like, talk a little bit about that experience being at outdoors, and I mean, like, that's one of the guess that's one of the times where track is publicized a little bit more. I
Yeah.
mean, you go on ESPN, you watch it. And I like watching the outdoors. I mean, it's just incredible athletes. Other than the Olympics and like world championships, NCAA's for D1 is like the next biggest thing for track where you can kind of show your skills. So talk about that whole experience.
It was a fun experience for sure. I mean, I didn't go into it expecting to win or like get first team All American. I just went into it and just had fun and be like, maybe not this year, but next year I'll have the goal to be first team All American. But it was definitely a great experience, a great learning experience. The atmosphere was kind of like I don't know, it just felt like if like a football atmosphere kind of in a sense. So just having that atmosphere around was fun for sure. And just being able to make it and compete with those guys was an amazing experience because some of the guys I competed with are people that I feel like I've always looked up to and wanted to be like. So just being able to compete on the same stage as them was amazing. Fun for sure.
And they run it in Oregon, right? In
Yeah, we're in
Eugene.
Oregon. Yeah.
That's a crazy, like, I mean, just looks like like an awesome track facility. I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best in the world. It's nice. There's not a lot in Eugene, but I mean their track is nice. It's amazing. So
Yeah.
it was a great experience.
So one other thing that I mean you went through, I mean this whole like college athletic world has been changing so much
Yeah.
in recent years, and one of them is the conference switches from the AAC to the Big 12. Did you feel like there was a big difference in like level of competition when you made that switch to the Big 12? Like you could like really notice that the athletes were better because you were going against bigger schools, or did you not like feel like there was much of a switch?
Oh, there was definitely a big switch. Like because our last year in the American, we as a team we won the American in indoor and then got second or third in outdoor. So pretty well as a team doing good in the American. And then like we didn't really lose many people and we went from first to last in the Big 12. So just as a team experience, it was definitely a lot better competition. And even as a decathlete, like the competition was a lot better. I went from just winning the American and then PRing by 200 points and not winning the Big 12. So the competition was a lot better, but it was definitely a lot of fun as well. Just people to push you and make you a lot better in that sense as well. Just knowing that it's not going to be like easy or like you're expected to win. It's going to be like you're going to have to fight for the win. You're going to have to go out there and have a dogfight for that. So just knowing that makes it a lot more fun and just makes conference a lot more exciting.
So you like the switch? Like you think it's like good for the team?
I definitely do. Like I can see our team getting better and better. Like we got last year, but I mean, you can only go up from there. Our coaches are definitely putting in the work to try not and get last, and so are the athletes. So I mean, we're growing as a team, and it's making us a lot better. So I
Yeah.
definitely enjoy the switch.
Now you guys know what to expect too, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
it's kind of hard that first year when you make a switch in anything. Now you like have a taste of it.
for sure. Yeah, I'm excited.
I feel like other Cincinnati sports are kind of like football had some really good there years too, and like obviously
Mhm.
making the switch here in a harder conference in basketball. But I feel like they're both kind of responding well to it. I mean, Cincinnati's becoming more of a nationally known brand as a athletic program, especially now that they're in, the Big 12. So I mean, it's all good things for the school and the athletic program.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, I think it's not going to happen overnight. Like it's very
Yeah.
rare to see a team from not even a Power Five conference go into a Power Five conference and just be good straight away. Like it just shows like the talent level is just different from Power Five and non-Power Five. Like yeah, there is talented people in those programs, but you don't have like the depth of the Power Five. I would say was the most noticeable thing. Like just watching football, basketball, and even like our own track team, just knowing like the depth is just like a whole different level. Like the talent's definitely there. We just don't have the depth. But at the same time, when you move to the bigger conference, it's going to force you to get better, force you to push yourself, force you to want to be great. So it's definitely a good thing for sure as the whole, like even the whole athletic department comes together and just pushes to be great and pushes to be better every day. So
Yeah, building blocks, right? You got to
yeah,
start somewhere. Like you said, when you're on the bottom, you can only go up. You can only get better. And I mean, it's like that. I feel like people get really antsy in like college sports. They're like really quick to like, if there's like one bad season, they're ready to like fire all the coaches and like we need new. But like they don't get it. It's like it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot to like turn the ship. So
yeah,
I mean, it takes years to, especially when you're going against programs that have been established in these Power Five conferences. They've got the recruiting down. I mean, they've got it all down. So I mean, it takes it is building blocks. I mean, it's all like looking at all the little victories too, right? I mean, you just got to take everything you can get and kind of build it up, and eventually you'll get there.
for sure. Definitely.
So, who's your favorite athlete of all time? Any sport?
Um, my favorite athlete is probably Le'Veon Bell, the running back that was for the Pittsburgh Steelers, or Russell Westbrook. So
Okay. So
yeah,
why Le'Veon Bell?
I just remember growing up watching him and just being like, wow, like his patience was just fun to watch. Him running the ball was just fun to watch, and he's ever since and I'm a Steelers fan, so I just enjoyed watching him carry the rock. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't get why Russell Westbrook,
Westbrook, he was
excuse me.
just the triple double seasons and just him just not being scared of anybody attacking the paint and I just liked him. And people hate
Yeah,
him, but I love him. He's a
yeah.
great
So you said you're a Steelers fan. You got to be happy right now. I mean,
oh for sure.
kind
It's a
of
good season.
outdoing expectations.
Yeah, for sure. I just think it's Mike Tomlin never had a losing season, and he's just continuing his ways and just continuing to show the haters like why he's probably one of the best coaches to ever do it. Because he's the last couple of years, everyone's like, "What? The Steelers are going to be bad. They're gonna." He's just outperformed expectations for probably the whole time he's been a Steelers head coach. So
Yeah, and right now there's not many teams that are really playing consistent football. So it's kind of like anybody's game. So I mean, it's
yeah.
like the door is totally open. Who's
Mm.
gonna walk in? Is it gonna be the Steelers? Is it gonna be the Ravens? is it going to be the Chiefs again? I mean, hard to say who's going to take it, but
Yeah, but it's gonna be fun.
it will
These
be.
last couple of weeks are gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah, I think it'll be fun going down the stretch.
Are you a
So,
Detroit fan?
oh, absolutely not. I'm really weird with all my sports. I don't like a single Michigan sports
Okay,
team.
so no
People
Big
always
Blue, no Big Blue,
no,
no
I'm a
nothing.
huge Notre Dame fan for like
Okay,
college
so
sports. Just
you're excited
absolutely
for
crazy.
the upcoming weeks.
Oh yes, I'm very excited. I don't miss a game for football, so like penciling it off on my calendar. We got Indiana. I'm a
So
little
you didn't miss
nervous,
that
but
game when we beat y'all, right? In what 2021?
no, I didn't miss that. But I wasn't super happy about that one.
Yeah, that was a good year.
But you guys were good that year.
Yeah,
That's an
we were
okay loss to
we
take.
were very good that year. So
This year losing to Northern Illinois, that's just
that
unacceptable.
I know. I'm from Alabama, so I've been an Alabama fan, and watching them this year has made me just not really like to watch them this year. So
Yeah, no, I mean, not three losses would be like it'd be okay if they were like good losses, but getting
but
walked by Oklahoma, I mean, that's brutal.
I don't know what they're doing. Like the whole college football is just so it's fun with the transfer portal and
But
NIL
it's
now, but it's
chaotic.
just yeah, it's making it very chaotic. So
The super conferences too, right? It's like hard to not lose two or three games because
yeah,
there's 16 teams and half of them are ranked and half of them
yeah,
aren't. And
it's very hard, and like half of the teams could have made it in, but they just kept knocking each other out. So
yeah, no, it's well. But I'm a Titans fan for the NFL, and
okay,
that's just brutal
that's
right
been
now.
rough. Yeah,
Yeah, the only thing is to hope like get a high
good pick.
draft pick and then like
Yeah.
maybe get a good quarterback. I don't know. Everyone's, Gabriel or Shador would Cam Ward. Those are like the top three quarterbacks.
Mhm.
I don't know.
See
So
what happens.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I like draft like that. That's a fun time of year too. Like especially if your team's like in the playoffs, you got that to look forward to. If your team sucks, you've got
You
the
got the
draft to
draft.
look forward to.
Yeah.
So, non-sports, before we started recording, you said you mentioned my Star Wars stuff, and you said you were a big Star Wars guy. So, one thing like Star Wars fans now, it kind of like some people hate all of the new movies. They hate all the TV shows, and they like stick with the originals, and
Original.
that's it. And then there's some people who like love every second of it. They'll watch everything that comes out. Where do you fall in that?
I'm honestly I'm a little bit of both. Like I think they could have taken the new movies in a better direction, but at the same time, like it's not terrible. Like I don't hate it. Like I'll watch it for sure, but I just feel like it could have been better. It could have been. I just wish George Lucas would have kept on doing his thing, but he gave it up to Disney. They're going after it. So I mean, can't hate, but wish it could be a little better. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
it's just hard to live up to the trilogies and all that. So
yeah. I didn't have any hate for like the new trilogy in those movies or like the solo story. I thought that was good. I thought Rogue One
yeah,
was good.
I thought those were good.
But I guess I haven't really gotten super involved in any of the TV shows.
Yeah, the only one I've really watched is like Mandalorian and Obi-Wan. I haven't watched any of the newer ones. So yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it's just like every 6 months they're releasing a new Star Wars TV show, and I'm just like I feel like they're doing too much now. So
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really get into Mando. I watched a little bit, never stuck. I watched Obi-Wan. I thought that was interesting to like kind of fill in the story, but they're also kind of making it with a lot of I don't know, I feel like they're not like lower characters and they're like just
yeah,
taking it and running. So
yeah,
it
I was
interests
just
me
like I feel like
less.
squeezing like characters that just are so far gone. Like it's just like just let's keep moving.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Definitely Anakin for sure. Anakin before he turned into Darth Vader is my favorite Star Wars.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Really? Who's yours?
I don't know, probably
Okay.
Chewbacca.
Or I was gonna
Um,
say Anakin or Captain Rex.
okay.
I love them both.
So at what point do you like stop liking Anakin? Like, I mean, we got like
I mean,
episode 3 where he like
I
Master
still like
Anakin,
him.
they're taking over, and then I mean,
I
that's just
still
like
I like him as Darth Vader, but I was just like, I don't think anything can top like Clone Wars Anakin and just so
yeah,
just
I don't know. He gets pretty dark there. It's hard to
yeah. I was like, I mean, I Darth Vader's probably in my top five, but I think good Anakin's my number one or Captain Rex. So
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to like really think about it to like think of other than I mean, I really like Chewbacca. I feel like Yoda's kind of a cliche answer, but I mean,
yeah,
like Yoda. I like some of the other Jedi that I feel like don't get a ton of
screen
screen
time.
time. I
Yeah,
think there's some that are pretty sweet. I'm drawing a blank because some of them have really goofy names. Like
yeah.
there's the one guy with the really tall head and the white
Yes.
ponytail. He's
What
pretty
is
sweet.
he is sweet. Can't think of the names either.
And
I just
then
know like I watched like the Clone Wars TV show and they get a lot more screen time in that, but it's still not as much as like they did.
yeah,
But
I always liked I think it was Kit Fisto or whatever
yeah,
the
the
green
green
guy.
one. Yeah,
I always like so some of those characters I really like, but like if you're just going off of the main movies, that they don't get much
yeah,
um screen time. And they're kind of made out to be kind of weak in the movies, right? Like when the
yeah,
three of them go to get Palpatine
and
and
they
they all
just
get
all
slaughtered.
die. Yeah, and it's just like okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that is kind of funny the way they did that, but whatever. Um, yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. So I appreciate you hopping on the podcast and talking some track and some Star Wars.
Of course, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes soon.